Hopefully I won't need my reading glasses. How is everybody? How are you today? Like you said, my name's Zallan. I am the Design Technology Director with Cuningham Group. We're about a 400-person architecture firm. Multi types of projects that we deal with. Some of the themed entertainment that we all know and love is one of our market segments with healthcare and all the rest of the kind of normal architecture. And where I'm going, by the way, is this the clicker? Yep. There you go. So that's a little bit of who I am. I've been in architecture since 1982, went through the hand drafting for about a decade, transitioned through the CAD drafting, right? And then into building information modeling. So it was nice to see that slide about building information modeling. I think the 50% number is a bit, well, is a bit ... It would be awesome though. And I've always been interested in technology. I'm also a fine artist, so I look at things differently. I try to peer out into the future. I fantasize that I'm some sort of futurist, so I try to be, and try to put myself around really talented people. So the industries that we're talking about here, architecture, engineering, and construction, it's actually, and operations, is the building information modeling. For anybody who doesn't know, how I explain it is slightly different than many people in our industry even explain it. I explain it as such. Think of the weather map. We've all seen weather maps on the news, right? Those are information models. I don't know if they call them WIMs, but they're weather information models. All the data goes in, whatever they have, and then it generates a 3D model of whatever storm or whatnot. Well, that's what building information modeling is. It's not just a pretty picture of the building, but it is actually, all of these components know what they are. A column is a column. They are no longer lines representing a column. The old CAD way, when people say CAD in our industry, now we still hear it as drafting, right? Like AutoCAD or whatever, even though quite a lot of it's 3D. But it's all just as good as drafting, even if you're modeling in a software where the components are kind of dumb, right? So now that we're, as an industry, adopting this mainstream, now the small firms are being forced to adopt this stuff, we're able to do a lot more and know earlier what's going to be built in the field. So we're actually interfacing with the contractors and subcontractors early on. Colleague Cody Nowak here, by the way, he's somebody to know, so sorry, Cody. He works with a sheetrock subcontractor. Do very large, nice work. They got a huge R&D, and they have seen the benefit of this. But now we can bring somebody like Cody in and early on know how much material we're going to need, what kind of design changes we can do early on to make things more efficient. So all of these last three slides are the type of kind of showing a little bit of the process, right? The skeleton of the building, and then we develop the kind of overall plans, and then we ultimately get down to this level. This is just a model. This is not a picture. Even I look at it and go, yeah, no, that's a photograph. Yeah, but it's not. So we're able to give this type of delivery. What interests me is not just using VR. It's obvious for the design validation. For anybody who knows an architect, you put somebody, I love putting people that hate VR. They've never been in it, but they have some preconceived notions. You know, we've all maybe been there about something or another. I know I have. I love putting those people in their own model. I set them into a room, put on the headset, and let them go. And literally the first time I did it, within 20 seconds, a guy took it off, left the room. I was like, wow, is he going to go get sick or something? Maybe I didn't, I should have prepped him a little more. No, he changed his model because the hall was too narrow, and he never got that in the old ways. He immediately got it, literally 20 seconds in. Huge, huge change in what we're doing. So that's one really good use case. But the game I'm playing, again, I want to try to make a little impact in my industry. We've been wasting and losing money. There's the McCleary slide, I believe it's called. We're the only non-farming manufacturing industry that's been losing money since the 1950s. Thank you very much. I don't like that I'm part of that industry. I want to hopefully have a little bit of turnaround in that. Well, this is an example of a colleague in any real time. As you see, there's some dates up there. They reality captured, I hope I'm explaining this properly. I will hear about it if I'm not. Sydney, Australia. And there was a development for this large developer that was taking 4 years to do, and they modeled it to where not just is the building information model there for the designing through construction, but every component in that building that is tied to a system, every light, everything, every computer, every monitor is controllable outboard via the model. That is the dream. That is happening right now. Our industry is a little slow to uptake sometimes, right? It takes a lot of money, a lot of companies are very cautious, but this is available right now. So the reality is, I do want to touch on this because obviously that's what we're focused on. I, again, have a little bit of a distinction in the realities, right? Virtual, augmented, mixed, however many, assisted, right? I'm just going to go like that. And then I think the next time I'm going to do this slide, they're all going to be wiped out, right? I take out mixed because augmented is kind of means mixed. I know we have an argument about that. But to me, I'm a little pedantic sometimes. But all the realities, no matter what we want to call them and how valid those are, they are all illusions, including this one. So I'd like to give a little, a little activity for us to all do, okay? And I want to kind of illustrate how we're not in real time. We all have the experience that this is happening now. We're here right now. There's no such thing as now, right? Your now is different and whatever. But what I want to do is just give a very concrete example. So if everybody just touches your finger to your nose, that experience seemed like it was immediate at the same time, both your finger and your nose, wasn't it? I mean, it is to me. It's like my finger's touching my nose. Yes, that's happening. We know for a fact it takes longer for the sensory information to go from my fingertip to the parts of the brain that it needs to deal with, and my nose. If you can get your foot up there, it's even more dramatic because you're like, how could that be? Well, how that is right, our brain is buffering everything. Now, we might know this or have heard this or have learned this, but keeping that kind of idea about the perceptual, the individual nature of reality, I think might be helpful. I don't have a bottom line point for that. I just think it's something that it makes it both interesting and useful for me to think with those things, you know? I mean, I put on 4-inch heel boots to have a different perspective when I'm presenting because it puts me in a different mind state. It's different than I normally am, right? And that allows my brain to do things that it's sometimes unexpected, but normally something good comes out of it, right? So the experience. What's the experience? So in the experience of architecture, well, this is a new kind of way to show the experience of these architectural systems to an owner, right? I mean, you touch on a pipe and it gives you the information, it flies up, we can do this virtual. If anybody goes to Autodesk University and they actually put on my class, we'll be doing an hour-long one of these, and where I'll be able to pull out the models and we can fly around. I don't have the time, but if anybody wants to get in touch with me, we can talk. All these things are around now. Here's an image of one of those buildings with everything tied in. And if one of those lights goes out, your operations manager comes in the morning, fires up the model, there's a light that's red. Hey, guess what? That light's out. It's in another building. Calls up service, go to that light, 54A, change the light out. Want to change the air conditioning? The first question I asked him was, do you mean like I could turn off your computer? He's like, oh, yeah, you can. That's why you don't get in. So yeah, it's very, very interesting, the crossroads that we're at in our industry, right? We all, the architects, you talk to them, they're like, oh, we're transitioning from this software to that software. We're moving into BIM. We're doing BIM now, this building information modeling. And the bottom line is, while every firm pretty much is, it's still human, right? There's still teams of humans out there. And not all teams are good. I did cite it, so I guess it's not really stealing. It's kind of stealing this image. It's a great image, I think, and very poignant, because the whole discussion about AI is on our future. And it's a scary thought, and we might want to discount it, but it's at a crossroads. I am going to keep this to the crossroads of being, we have some present capabilities that I want to develop into future, right? One of the things that I want to do, as a slight side note, is I want to kill the keyboard and mouse in architecture. I've always thought it's I've thought it, whether it is or isn't, I've thought it's the single stupidest thing that we have a mouse to do three-dimensional work and a keyboard. What is that? I mean, I use a pen to do my input, but it's still a mouse. It's 3 buttons. At least it holds like a pen, so I don't get carpal tunnel. But how can we change this, right? So there are a couple of promising technologies that are in this, even in this building, which I'm looking to further talks on, because changing that experience of the designer and their interface with their work, changing the experience of the client, right? You walk into a conference room, normally clients get that big presentation, and we have the scale models, we have virtual models, you put on headsets, you don't put on headsets, right? We're providing as much as we can. But wouldn't it be nice to also, send your client your space and do a virtual too? Cool. So those are the kind of things in my industry, we want to be focusing on. And I would look to any of our developers, any of you developers. How many developers are here? Anybody? Cool. Talk to me after, if any of this is interesting. Just some of the things, right? One of the last two, abilities and disabilities. This is not like my ability to do a task. This is like people with disabilities. I find that conversation really interesting. The first thing when I started to get into these realities, virtual and augmented and mixed, is I thought, how do blind people deal with virtual reality? Are they just out? By the way, the first Google search, I found some major research out there that's been done on this, and they're using sound. And people get space and building shape and can walk through and really get the sense of scale. These are unsighted people. This is awesome. There are opportunities. That one slide that came up before about the 30%, all those industries, that's right. There's billions of dollars in the AEC industry, if not hundreds of millions, for just in this realm. If we can kill the keyboard and mouse, that is every single architect in the world would adopt that. And obviously other industries would go, wow, I can just build my model like I would think I could build my model. Yes, so that's my big charge here, is the technology exists. It's just disparate right now. It's all around the world, right? We know we can do this. We've seen it. We have our phones, all of this stuff. We know. It's just getting these things developed so we can feel like this. And the big bottom line here is, if we're looking at these things and giving it a term, something like this, like an efficiency, we are efficiency generators, right? Success generators. If we take on that, then that's a larger umbrella. So all of these other tasks are subtasks. I'm not heading the VR department. VR is part of what we do. The problem is, I want to make my building more efficient to design, construct, and operate. And that's the bottom line. So I'll leave you with the efficiency generator. And again, if anybody wants to get in touch, please do. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.